Today we're going to talk about dummy half play, gaining confidence and developing speed. Welcome to episode 5 of Run It Straight. Chris? Our first question today comes via Instagram from Dan. Hey man, I play league and my position is hooker. I want to start developing my speed, skills and agility more. Do you have any recommendations? I really want to improve my skills out of dummy half. Chris?
First thing that I would say is practice all the skills to do with dummy half. One of the main things would be passing off the ground rather than standing up and then passing the ball. So a quick drill that comes to mind that you can practice at home. Go outside, find a brick wall, put a target on it, throw the ball about 50 times to that target from the left and the right side, not spinning, and then a little further and spinning. So that would be a recommendation.
Yeah, look, this is one of those things where you can go and you can find different ways to pass the ball. You can learn different techniques, and by all means you want to make sure that you get your technique on point. But what it comes down to at the end of the day is actually just putting in the time. It's boring and it's tedious, and you've just got to do lots of it. If you look at, most kids these days are into basketball a lot. You look at any particular shot that any of the top line guys are completing all the time in a game, and they have just done that tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of times leading up to it, and they just spent hours and hours and hours. So when it comes into a game situation, they can put the ball where they want to without thinking about it. It's just second nature. So from that point of view, just need to put in the work. What else?
Kicking. Passing, kicking. But my probably all-time favourite for dummy half is reactive drills.
Yep.
So being able to react to what's happening to the defensive play. So you can mimic that. You can do a drill with a couple of other people, or you can just keep practicing on the field or at training. One of the most important things with dummy half is knowing when to scoot out, finding those gaps and punching them, or drawing and passing, or just reacting to what's happening and go yourself.
Yeah, look, watch game, film, watch, depending on what kind of hooker you are as well. If you are quick, watch, of course it's left me now, the South's hooker's name?
Damien Cook.
Yeah, look at Cook,
Yeah.
Look at Cameron Smith, look at those guys, because Smith obviously he steps out and engages a bit more, and he's not lightning quick, he never really has been, but he still does run, and you can see the times that they know when the markers are slow, or when there's the A defender on either side is a little bit lazy, and that's when they tend to jump out. Okay, so watch footage of players that you like, pay particular attention to when it is that they do run, because I was watching a game on the weekend, Saints game. I'm a St George supporter, if you didn't know. He's a Parramatta, so boo. Anyway, and we were at the Saints Bulldogs game. That's going to give you an idea when we film this. And McInnes, I don't think he ran for probably the first 27, 28 minutes of the game. It was just catching and pass, because Saints weren't really winning the ruck. They weren't getting quick play the balls. Canterbury was doing pretty well. Obviously later on in the game he started running a whole lot, which is why St George ran the scoreboard up. But early on in the game the opportunities weren't there, so he didn't force his hand. You've just got to be ready for when those chances are there, and that you do actually take advantage of it. Because maybe you might only get 2 or 3 shots in a game. You need to make sure that you do run on those opportunities, and that can turn a game on its head.
Yeah, so not a blindside play when there's more defensive players than attacking. So just pick your moments and go for it.
He said a couple of other things, developing, we've talked about skills. Speed and agility. We had another question similar to this. Actually, we'll answer a little bit of this here. Agility, we've talked about this. I think we talked about this in the last episode. When it comes to agility, or what most people think of agility, you've got change of direction, which is the physical mechanics of it, and then you've got your game awareness, knowing when to change direction. So you need to train both of those. Now, we've spent a little bit of time just now talking about game awareness and when you should run and when you shouldn't. Change of direction, movement patterns, shuffle cut, look it up online, look at what it is, crossover step, wedge step. Train yourself in those particular movement patterns, get better in those particular movement patterns, and your change of direction is going to improve. The next thing, and we'll probably be hitting on this a couple of times today, is you need to get stronger. the best way to improve your change of direction blanket is just to be able to exert more force, to apply more force to the ground. The best way to do that is to just get strong. So get into a gym, start following a proper structured strength training program, and your change of direction is going to improve.
Cool.
Yeah?
I agree. Yep.
Cool. All right. Our next question is anonymous via Instagram. I play under 14s. I'm a centre, tall, pretty lean. I'm pretty slow compared to everyone else in my team. I have no confidence when I run. What can I do to improve these areas? Okay, confidence. Confidence comes from knowing that you can accomplish something. This is one of the areas why, one of the reasons why the first area that most of the guys that come to work with us, we want to get them to address is getting stronger. And I just mentioned this in the previous question. We have guys who come in at an off season, and we had one just this, I'm not going to mention his name, but his bench press was about 35 kilos. Similar, exact same age group as you, under 14s. Definitely not a physical specimen. Bench press 35 kilos. And that was in September, is when we start the off season.
I think so.
By the end of the off season, he's gone from 35 kilo bench press to 82.5. So he's more than doubled it, almost tripled his strength output, and he's up. And we've seen similar results in a whole bunch of other movement patterns and some things on the field. But the thing is that he got a massive amount of confidence knowing, okay, I was here, I'm now here, I can actually achieve that, I can accomplish something. And because of that, he's actually tried a few things on the field. And some of them have actually come off. When something comes off, when you know that you can do something, your confidence grows from that. So you've got to get a win, wherever that win is. And if a win is just simply, okay, I've gotten on the scales, I was 55 kilos, I've gotten myself to 60 kilos, that's a win. I could bench press this, I can now bench press that, that's a win. I could run 4Ks and my time at the start, well, I could only run and then walk and then run and then walk. Now I can run the whole thing. Now I can run the whole thing, averaging 6 minutes a kilometre. Once you start to hit goals and you realise that you can improve yourself, that's when confidence is going to come. That's the first thing. Anything else that you have on confidence?
Yeah, confidence is just get out there, get yourself around the ball, demand the ball a bit more. So if you're a centre, kick returns, so scoots from dummy half, get more involved. The more you do get involved and get your hands on the ball, the more opportunity you have to actually create something.
Things will happen.
Exactly.
And if you're still struggling, because it sounds here, you know, I'm tall, pretty lean. I'm assuming by that you mean skinny. And I'm pretty slow. So already, it's what we call self-talk. We work with quite a few people, don't we, who need to do some work on their self-talk. It sounds like your self-talk is actually not so good, that every chance you get, you kind of beat up on yourself rather than just being objective. Let's talk about what are some things that you are good at. And if you're not good at those areas, let's develop them. Do you have a good palm? You said here that you're tall, which means you've probably got a fairly decent reach. So I'm just going out on a limb and assuming maybe you have a good palm. So let's start with that. Let's practice and let's try and use that longer reach that you might have over opposite players. Particularly if you're a centre, that's really important to try to get outside your man and then link up with your winger. Can you run good lines? Do you have a decent offload? What else? Are you a good defender? Can you read the game well? Are you tough? There's a million things. I want you to write out a list. Try and think of 20 or 30 different aspects that you think a good centre should have, and then run through, okay, you know, out of this 30, maybe I've got 3. Brilliant. Okay. So we're going to go to work on what are the next 3 that are the most fundamental for you to have right now. And let's work on developing them. Like we said in the earlier question with a hooker throwing the ball at the wall, maybe it's an offload, maybe it's a palm, maybe it's a step to just get on the outside. Maybe you're a right centre and you want to work on a left foot step to get outside your opposition defender. Just go and nail those 3 things. Practice them in your own time. Put the hours in. Practice them at training with your club. And then in a game, it's like, okay, in this game, I at least want to try and use that step twice in the first half, twice in the second half, and see how you go. And pretty soon you're like, you know what? 3 of the 4 times he got me, but one time I actually got outside him and we nearly made a break. I'm going to keep working on that. You're going to get confidence from that. And you're going to start to develop some of those other skills that you need to play centre. Now, as we mentioned, you said lean, which probably means skinny. So he needs to put on some size, doesn't he?
For sure.
So again, it does feel like we repeat ourselves a lot. You've got to get in the gym.
Yep.
You've got to start lifting and you've got to start eating more. And eating more, like, what does eating more mean? That's a really relative statement to make, isn't it?
That's why we keep referring back to the app.
Yeah. You've got to get an idea of what you're eating. We have guys come in, you know, oftentimes for the initial assessment, their dad might come in and sit down with them and we talk about their nutrition. And it's like, oh yeah, no, I eat heaps. What does that even mean? What does breakfast, lunch, dinner, what do your snacks look like? Start just to write it down with a pen and paper if you have to. There's the app which we say to use MyFitnessPal. Start entering things into that app. Get an idea. Oh, okay, when I write everything down, when I log it all into the app, turns out that I'm on 2,400 or 2,800 or 1,800. I thought I was eating more than that. Okay, so if you're eating 2,500 calories and you're not gaining weight, let's try eating 3,000 calories a day. And let's see what happens with the scales. Let's see if your weight does go up. Remember, we want to be gaining lean tissue as much as possible, not body fat, because that's not really going to be of any use on the field. So you can't just eat more food if you're not lifting weights, because then you're just going to get fat. Yeah?
Very important.
So you got to lift weights and you got to eat your food. Last thing you were saying here, I'm slow. So speed. We mentioned a little bit before. Number one way to get quicker is to get stronger so that you can apply more force into the ground. I was having a conversation with someone recently, another strength coach, and he was mentioning I think he'd done a session with, I won't mention the guy's name, in Sydney, you'd know who he was, a famous sprint coach, and he was saying, I can work with guys for 12 months of the year. Yes, Joey's about to come in and you're going to hear the buzzer go off. Any second now, because Joey always comes in whenever Joey wants. There you go. All right, so what was I saying? Strength coach, sprinter. Yeah, thank you, Joey. We know you're here. And he was saying that we might even bring Joey in. We'll get him to come in and sit down for the episode. Can we do that? Yeah, we can do that. All right, that'll be fun.
I'll go grab him. You want me to go grab him?
I'll finish this and then we'll go grab him. He'll probably come down and make a goose of himself anyway. You can leave that in there, that's fine. What was I saying? Oh, sprint coach. And what he was saying, and he trains a lot of like Olympic level, he trains a lot of first graders, NRL players, AFL players, soccer players. And he was saying what strength coach is a good strength program, particularly for someone who hasn't been training. They can achieve more in 12 weeks than what a good sprint coach can do in 12 months, simply if they get them to improve their strength and the amount of force they can apply into the ground. So initially, the easiest way for you to get quicker is to get stronger. Now, second thing to that, and it's probably not going to apply as much to you, but I'll mention it anyway because it will apply to some people. The second aspect is to drop your body fat. There's an old saying that you can't flex fat. If you want to get quicker, get rid of that useful weight so that when you are applying force to the ground, you don't need to accelerate as much useless mass as you were prior. Let's go get him. Down
Joey.
you come, Joey. You can stick your head in on the show. Come on. Come. Joey, hurry up. Come on, it's already recording. So this was the interruption that we had a minute ago.
You've already been mentioned.
Yeah, you've already been mentioned by name.
Wait, Joey?
How you doing, Joey? This is Joey. You want to say hello? You can go say hello to Nikki. She's behind the camera.
Hello.
So yeah, he's one of our League Fit boys. He's going to get back to work and he's not going to put on his rubbish music. He was the one who asked the question about the music, by the way. So no rubbish music. We're nice and quiet until we finish recording. No grunting and don't drop the weights. Okay. I think we finish answering the question? 14 centre, everyone else's team, have confidence. What can I do to improve these areas? I think we covered that, didn't we? All right, the next question comes to us via Instagram from Josh. Hi, my name is Josh. I did one of your programs in the holidays. I really enjoyed it and was wondering if you could give me a few tips. I play centre in under 16s and I need to improve my speed. Well, that's funny because we just did talk about something similar to that.
We sound like broken records.
So this will be like the condensed version of what we just said. Number one, improve your strength and your power output. Strength and power are not the same thing. Okay, maybe look that up. Power is essentially explosive because there's no point just getting strong. You need to get powerful. So a good example, let's say in the bench press, never in a game are you going to sit here and slowly accelerate your arms at this speed. It's obviously if you're looking to push someone off, to palm someone away, it's going to be done very, very explosively. So those are two different aspects within strength training that need to be trained. You need to train your strength and you need to train your power output. That's number one. Number two, lower your body fat down. Okay, we mentioned that before. Some guy, if you've got two, how old are you? Under 16. Let's say you've got two 16-year-olds who are both 6'1" and they both weigh 90 kilos, playing the same position. And their strength output essentially is the same. If one guy is 16% body fat and the other guy is 22% body fat, more than likely the 16% body fat guy is going to be quicker. Okay, so get your body fat down. You like I just mentioned before, you can't flex fat. Practice running fast. Proper sprint training is not what most clubs do when they do sprints. Or we're going to do some speed work today when they might put a marker out at say 10 or 20 or 30 meters, and you sprint to that marker, then you jog back around, and then you sprint again. You're working work capacity. It's cardio training. It might be classed as speed endurance, but it's not actually going to make you quicker. You want to get quicker, put your 40 meter marker out, run 40 meters, then you rest for 3-4 minutes.
Yes.
You do it again. And with that kind of training, a couple of times a week, you're looking at maximum intensity, and make sure that you've got 2 to 3 days rest in between. Okay, so improve your strength and power output, lower your body fat, practice actually running fast. And then the fourth thing, if you can get access to, is a proper sprint coach, someone who knows what they're doing, how they can not just look at your technique and see what's wrong, but they have useful drills and they've got the right cueing. They know how to get you to correct those faults.
Yeah, more often than not, if you try to do things on your own, we can give you tips, but more often than not, you are going to do something wrong. So try to get out to someone that knows, or it's their field and they know what they're talking about in that area, and work with them, as well as, something I will touch on with centers as well, the reactive drills is quite good. So being able to react to your opposite number. If he moves out slightly and you've got a good left foot step, for example, you wait for him to start moving and you step in. That's more for gameplay though, that's not for speed.
Yeah.
For speed, basically you've touched on everything. Just make sure you get in the gym, track your calories, drop your body fat, and work with a sprint coach.
No, I think that pretty much covers it. Last question comes to us on Facebook from Tim. Joe, when are you going to cut your hair? I'm not going to answer that question, Tim. You'll just have to wait and see. Okay, guys, if you have any questions, please send them via Instagram. Again, put anonymous if you don't want people to know. Don't want to know who you are. Don't want people to know who's asking a question. We won't put your name up. Just put Instagram. Just put anonymous on there. Ask via Instagram. Ask via Facebook. Send them in person. Please send in your questions. Be a little bit more specific if you can. Because a few of these questions we've actually sent a further question back to the player so they could clarify some details to make it a little bit easier for us to address it. But please keep sending your questions through and we will keep trying to answer them. Cheers.